The pace between us gradually increased, the emotions rising like an uncontrollable waterfall. She breathed harder, her hands gripping the bedsheet as I continued to bring her to levels of emotions that neither of us had ever experienced before. Her body was soft, blending with every beat of my heart, making everything seem to melt into each other. The captivating emotions sank into the moment, sweeping away all thoughts, leaving only the harmony between two souls. Hello everyone, welcome to our channel, where we will bring you the most interesting and dramatic stories in life. It will take the audience from one surprise to another. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any episodes. In today's video, we will bring to you the story With My Colleague through Jane's voice. Please watch. I am currently living and working in a company specializing in casting models. I work in the office, specializing in programming CNC machines. This year I am 25 years old, an age that is always full of life, and my life has changed since the day Missy Tui came to my company and applied to be an accountant for the company. Ms. Tui is married and has 2 children. Her 2 children are still young. The daughter is 6 years old this year, and the son is 7 years old now. Ms. Tui's body is extremely wonderful. Her bust is big, her waist is moderate, especially her hips are impeccable. The first time I met her, I had a crush on her. She was wearing a silk shirt. I could see the bra inside, but it could not cover up Ms. Tui's undulating hills. Her white skin further enhances her beauty. With her beauty at the age of 32, no one would say she is 32 years old. As for Tui's husband, after coming from the countryside to Hanoi to do business, he became very successful. After Tui's husband had money, the storms in her and my life began. On a normal working day, when Tui had just entered the office and sat down at her desk, today I saw that she was a bit shy because today she was dressed very modestly, in leggings and a t-shirt around her hips. After thinking for a bit, I greeted her. "Hello, Tui. I came to work early today and saw my beautiful sister." When she heard that, she laughed and said, "Stop it. No matter how beautiful you are, how can you compare to our girls in their teens and 20s? When I heard that, I immediately replied, "I don't know about anyone else, but you are the type of person I want to marry, beautiful, good at business, and know how to take care of the family. If you were single or divorced, I would swear that I would definitely win you over." Hearing that, she smiled and said to me, "Are you free this afternoon? Take me to the mall to buy some things. My husband isn't home today and I'm too lazy to drive." I happily accepted and the 2 sisters started working. When the afternoon shift ended, I quickly returned home. I took a shower and prepared to pick her up. I rode my A+ to her house and heard a loud argument. I paused for a moment, then rang the doorbell, and surprisingly, the person who opened the door was her husband. Her husband saw me and smiled and greeted me, because her husband and I had been drinking a few times before, so we were considered acquaintances. When he saw me, he said, "Levi, come in and play. I'm busy entertaining guests today and can't drink with you." "Okay, I'll go. We'll make up for it another time." Hearing that, I immediately smiled and replied, "Yes, I'll hang out another time." After saying that, he left, and I drove my bike into the yard and into the house and saw her sitting there sobbing. I walked over and sat down next to her, hugged her and asked, "What's the matter? Tell me, why are you sitting here crying?" She looked at me, hugged me, cried even louder and said, "My husband has a lover. I caught him and we argued so much. I'm so miserable, Levi." I saw that and said to her, "Come on, go change your clothes. We'll go out comfortably today." Hearing that, she went upstairs to change her clothes. When I saw her coming down, I couldn't believe my eyes, because she was wearing a pair of tight, short elastic pants which clearly showed the marks of her goods, and importantly, they were so short that when she sat down, they almost revealed half of her big, white butt. Especially the short black lace t-shirt that exposed her belly. Now I could clearly see that her skin had no marks left by childbirth. It stole my heart. When she saw that, she hit me and said, "Why are you looking at me so fiercely? You've never seen a woman with 2 children dressed like this before." Hearing her say that, I laughed and said, "Come on, let's go, sis. Oh, bring a warm coat. We'll go home in the morning." Then I took her to a drinking place by the lake. This place was good because it had rooms divided like a coffee shop, but it didn't sell coffee but a drinking place. Then I let her order. After about 10 minutes, the waiter brought the food and beer. She and I sat down and drank nearly half a case. Then I said to her, "Your husband is like this. What are you going to do now?" Hearing my question, she took a sip of beer and replied, "So what? Maybe we should separate for a few years to see how he is. If that doesn't work out, then we'll just get a divorce. What else can we do? No one loves me now." Hearing that, I hugged her and kissed her gently on the forehead and said, "What are you saying? I told you that if you were single or divorced, I would pursue you. So I will love you. Don't you believe what I said? I swear what I said today is the truth." Hearing that, she turned around and kissed me on the lips and said, "I'm drunk now. Tomorrow when I'm sober, I'll tell you." After drinking, I drove her around to get some fresh air to sober up. Then she suddenly suggested, "Let's find a small cafe to have some coffee. I'm so tired." Hearing that, I boldly suggested, "Let's go to a hotel to sleep and go home in the morning. If you go home alone, you'll be sad and cry again. I feel so sorry for you, you know." Hearing that, she agreed. I drove her to a fairly large hotel. I parked the car, she booked a room, and we went up to the room. When we got to the room, Tui went to take a shower, and I sat playing with my phone. About 15 minutes later, she came out wearing the same outfit, but she wasn't wearing any underwear, because when I went to the bathroom, I saw her hanging there. Then we both fell asleep. Around 1 or 2 in the morning, I felt something pressing against my hand. I opened my eyes and saw her resting her head on my hand, and she whispered in my ear, "Are you sober now? Do you have anything to say to me?" Hearing that, I seemed to understand what she meant, so I replied, "Miss Tui, I've liked you since the day you first started working at the company. If you were single or divorced, I would be willing to love you. I'm telling you the truth. Please be my girlfriend. I promise I will take care of you and never leave you. I will make you happy for the rest of your life. I will give you all the money I earn to take care of our family and your 2 children." Hearing that, Tui's tears fell. Then she hugged and kissed me. I didn't give up. I hugged her and kissed her back. Seeing that, Tui's face was a bit angry, and she said, "Do you think you can get out of here with me intact now?" As soon as she finished speaking, she hugged me and pushed me down, then sat on me and said, "Do you love me? If you love me, then tonight give it your all. Show me what love is, what affection is," Levi said. Then she crawled down and used her mouth clumsily, as if she had never done that before. It was funny to look at. Seeing her like that, I lay there while she took care of my little guy. Then I asked her, "Have you never done that with anyone?" She just nodded slightly, but her mouth didn't stop. The more she got drunk, the more I couldn't stand it anymore, so I pulled her up, hugged and kissed her, and whispered to her, "I love you so much, and I love you so much. Let's love each other. I will love and take care of you and take care of our small family in the future and your 2 children." When she heard that, she didn't say anything, slowly took off everything that was left on both of us. Then she continued, "Remember what you said. I will accept to be your lover, but right now we can't make it public. You have to understand me. As for the future, we will slowly think about it. With me being almost 10 years older than you, I'm afraid your family won't let you love and marry someone like me." When I heard that, I laid her down, kissed her deeply, and after a long time I said, "Then let's cherish the present. Let me think about the future for you, my love." Tui spoke softly. Her voice was gentle but full of charm, like a passionate invitation. All my senses became more sensitive. I gently invited her to lie down on the bed, my hands slowly, gently on her smooth skin, feeling the warmth from her body gradually harmonizing with mine. Every movement of my beloved sister seemed to be controlled by a strong emotion. Every breath of hers overlapped with my gentle movements, creating a truth that was hard to deny. She wrapped her arms around my neck and pulled me closer. Her hot breath on my neck made me feel more clearly the urgency in every beat of her heart. My lips once again found hers, gently on her soft skin, and then slid down to her collarbone. Each touch seemed to ignite a fire in both of our hearts, spreading everywhere. I felt every movement of hers, every caress, every deep breath as if lost in a fairyland. My hands searched for every beautiful curve, exploring new lands that could only be imagined in moments of solitude. She closed her eyes, her lips pressed tightly together as if to control her emotions. But that very suppression only made the tension less. The pace between us gradually increased, the emotions rising like an uncontrollable waterfall. She breathed harder, her hands gripping the bedsheet tightly as I continued to bring her to levels of emotions that neither of us had ever experienced before. Her soft body, blending with every beat of my heart, made everything seem to melt into each other. The attractive emotions sank into the moment, sweeping away all thoughts, leaving only the harmony between two souls. Then the two of us wrapped around each other and did it for more than 2 hours. When we were tired, we hugged each other and fell into a deep sleep. Early the next morning, we showered, checked out, had breakfast. Then I drove her home to go to the company to have morning coffee with some colleagues. Not long after we sat down to drink coffee, I saw her driving into the company, which immediately woke me up. Strangely, she wasn't dressed like usual, which made the guys sitting there drinking tea and porridge a bit disappointed. After a while, it was time to go to work, so I went into the office and greeted her. "Hello, you're dressed so modestly today." When I said that, she smiled and replied, "I only dress modestly when I'm with my lover or next to my lover." When I heard that, I didn't say anything, but reached out and grabbed her 2 grapefruits and went back to work. Everything went on like that until it was almost time to get off work. Then I suddenly received a text message from her. "You picked me up last night. Now that I'm home and taking care of the kids, I'll text you and then you can come over." I looked at the text message, smiled at her, then texted back, "Okay, you just take care of the kids. When you're done, call me and dress coolly." She looked at the text message, glanced at me, then replied, "Okay, I'll wear it tonight." After that text message, it was time to get off work, so I ran home to take a shower and take a nap. When I slept around 9 o'clock, Tui called to come pick me up. I rode my A+ to her house again and saw her sitting in front of the house feeding the fish. I drove my bike into the yard, and what caught my eye was a girl wearing a pair of shorts with elastic that revealed the entire edge of her butt. Hers was quite big, so the pants were almost tight around her butt, and her tube top had no protective gear inside because I could see her 2 peanuts. Seeing that, Tui called me. "What are you doing looking at me so fiercely?" I smiled and replied, "You're so attractive that I can't stand it." She looked at me and said, "Wait for me a bit. I'll go change my clothes and then we'll go on a date, my dear husband." After saying that, she left me, still in a daze because of that sentence. After 10 minutes, she went down and my soul was flying in the clouds because she was wearing a shiny dress that couldn't cover all of her hills, It was almost half exposed. She also wore a pair of leather tights, so her already white skin was even whiter now. Just looking at it made me want to. I didn't say anything but stood up, walked over and hugged her deeply. She softly said, "What's wrong, husband? Can't stand it anymore. I'll give it to you in a bit." Hearing that, I replied, "I can't stand it anymore. Give me something before I go." After saying that, I waited for her to agree. Then I turned her back and pulled the dress over her hips. Then I pulled down her pantyhose and discovered that she wasn't wearing anything underneath, and I didn't ask her, thinking of asking later because I was in a hurry. So this time she only used her mouth and hands to let me in. After a while I came all over her hands and even on her neck. Luckily she was wearing a shirt that didn't cover her neck, otherwise I would have had to change into another dress or shirt. I grabbed a towel nearby, wiped us both clean, adjusted her dress, then we ran around the city and turned into the food court near the lake. I chose a fairly deserted and private area, sat down at the table and ordered food. While eating, I talked to her. "Your husband hasn't been home for a while, has he?" She seemed a bit sad. Her face was a bit pensive, and she said, "I've told my parents. They said to live for the children now, to let go of whatever can be let go, and what should I do now?" Hearing her say that, I had a bold thought in my head, and I told her, "Have you heard the saying, 'The husband eats the pork, the wife eats the spring rolls'?" When she heard that, she looked at me and said, "Let me explain it clearly to you. You don't quite understand." I continued to explain. "Well, if your husband has someone else, you also have me. There's nothing to think about. I will make you more and more beautiful, making your husband regret it." After I finished speaking, I drank a can of beer and suggested to her, "Why don't you come live with me after all? We are lovers." When she heard that, she looked at me and replied, "I want that too, but with the house and 2 children, I can't leave them alone." Hearing that, I told her, "Then you send the child back to your grandmother's house. Instead of coming home every day, you come back every 2 or 3 days. First, I don't want you to be sad when you come home. Second, I want you to be happy. Don't worry. I will rent a house far from your company so that we can live together without fear of anyone finding out." Hearing that, she told me, "Let me think about this carefully." After that, we ate and drank to our heart's content. Then I took her to the park to sit and enjoy the breeze. It was almost 2 a.m. The park was deserted. The 2 of us walked to a rather hidden stone bench. I sat and Tui lay on my lap, my hand groping. At this time she said, "You make people like you again. I wish I had met you sooner. Then we would have been happy now." I rubbed her and said, "Are we not happy now?" After hearing that, she sat up and stood up, then sat down to take off my clothes and did it with my little guy. "This is fun. I'm happy today, so I'll give you a surprise." And then today we did it standing up. One hand of mine constantly holding her back, the other hand holding one of her legs up and pushing. When we finished, we both quickly adjusted our clothes. She said, "Let's go home. Someone's been watching us for a while." So I took her home again. When we got to her door, she gave me a kiss and went back inside, while I ran home, took a shower, and slept until morning. It was almost dawn when a text message came to my phone, waking me up. I tried to open my eyes to see the message, and it turned out to be her message saying that something had happened to her husband. Seeing that, I jumped out of bed, did my personal hygiene, and then drove to her house. After I arrived at her house and opened the door, I saw her sitting and packing her things into her backpack. So I asked, "What happened?" She saw me and replied, "He went out drinking and got hit by someone and broke his leg. He's in the hospital now." Hearing what she said, I helped her pack her things and went to the hospital. After entering the hospital, I went to the nurse to ask, and then I found out the room number and what happened to Tui's husband. I told her, "Follow me, sister." When I got to the room, I saw him lying on the bed next to the door with his parents-in-law and his wife. When she saw that, she greeted her parents-in-law. "Hello, Mum and Dad. How is he?" Her father-in-law looked at her and replied, "He went out drinking and then he took some girl with him. They were both hit by someone. He broke his leg and the other girl looked exactly like him." She heard and said, "Okay, you two go home and rest. Come here and let me take care of him." After that, I sat with her parents-in-law for a bit and then left, and she asked for a week off to take care of her husband. After many days of working without her, I was so sad. I was sitting at work when suddenly I received a message from her. I quickly opened it to see, "Do you miss me, honey? Come pick me up at home later tonight, honey." Seeing that, I was happy, but I couldn't do anything. I just wanted to see her soon. After work, I quickly went home to take a shower, didn't have time to eat or drink anything, and then ran to her house as fast as I could. I sneaked in without making any noise, surprising her, but the one who was surprised was me when I saw her wearing a pair of thin and very short elastic pants with a shirt that was not much different from a bra. I walked over and hugged her from behind and said, "My love, aren't you shocked that you don't have any reaction?" She turned around and hugged my head and kissed me over and over, then replied, "I saw you from afar. Have you missed me these past few days?" Hearing her question, I replied, "I don't know any more. Let me answer you with my actions." Then I carried her to the dining table, pulled her pants aside, and started to carry out my mission. "Why are you home today, sister? Aren't you taking care of your husband?" She replied, "Because I miss this little guy and this husband. I'm hiding. Let's do it, honey." Hearing her request, I continued to be stronger. Then I helped her stand up, carried her into the living room, and we did it while talking. We fucked each other until about 7 p.m. We both finished bathing when the clock struck 8. I took her out to eat and stopped by the mall to buy her things. At the clothing counter, looking at the extremely eye-catching fashion clothes, I asked her, "Which do you like, cool or revealing?" She held my hand and answered as we walked, "It's fine, as long as you buy it, I'll wear it all." I smiled and took her around several clothing stores, buying clothes that she didn't dare to try on. I looked at her and smiled. After nearly an hour of shopping, I bought her some tight shorts and a tube top, a lace nightgown, and a backless lace dress. After shopping, it was almost 9 o'clock. I took her to the hospital and I went home to sleep until morning. My affair with her lasted for nearly 6 months. Then there was an incident that changed my life with her. Her husband, after being discharged from the hospital, secretly had an affair with his green tea girl. As usual, I spent a large amount of money on someone to follow and collect evidence of his affair, then gave it all to my brother, who is a lawyer, so that she could later get a divorce. And now, back to the incident that changed my life with her. She announced that she was pregnant. "Where are you? Is what you said true?" After a few minutes, she texted back, "I'm at the clinic. Come here with me." I immediately ran to the clinic and saw her sitting outside on the waiting chair. When she saw me, she came out and gave me the ultrasound papers and the doctor's note, which said the fetus was 2 months old. I was so happy that I hugged her and she said, "Hurry up and put me down. If you want anything, go home and say it. People are staring at you in public." Then she and I went to my house. As soon as we got home, I called my brother, who is a lawyer. I asked him to do the separation procedure for her so that she wouldn't think about anything that would affect the fetus. She looked at me and asked, "What did you ask the lawyer to do the separation procedure for?" I hugged her and said, "The separation procedure for you. Who else? I don't want you to think about those things that would affect our child." When she heard that, she replied, I will listen to you, I continued. Tomorrow I will take you home to meet my family. Will you accept? She smiled brightly and asked again, Is it true? I hugged her. She said, Let's see how I can serve you. And then we were hugging each other for about 15 minutes when suddenly I got a call from my lawyer. I told her to pick up the phone. My wife, pick up the phone. She heard that and raised her hand to pick up the phone, answered, Hello, I'm listening. The other side answered, Hello, Ruby. I'm the lawyer that Levi asked to do your divorce paperwork. If you're free this afternoon, I invite you to come to my office to sign some documents. She replied, Thank you, I'll be there on time this afternoon. In the situation of doing that while listening to the phone made me extremely happy. I couldn't hold on for long. Then I came inside her and we both lay hugging and caressing each other. In my heart, I started thinking about the next things I needed to do to have her properly, but that was still a process. But anyway, let's see what happens, one step at a time. So let's go see a lawyer this afternoon to see what the situation is with her separation. We'll have to wait and see what happens next. Let's try to guess where it all goes. Our story today will stop here. If you find this story interesting, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment about your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next interesting stories. Jane will see you in the next videos. Wish you a wonderful day.